Welcome to Jedi Reiki. So today I'm going to tell you about the very first lucid dream experience I had. And at the end of the video later on, I will share with you a tip that may help you have your first lucid dream. Well, to get things started, so my dream started with my walking down a rather large hallway within what appeared to be a multi-storied university building. I could see numbered classroom doors. Presumably most of the students were in class because there weren't many of them scurrying about in the main hall. As I had walked down the hall, I noticed a lounge area with furniture off to the left, where I saw a professor, I assumed because he was clad in a black suit and tie, and he was having a conversation with two other female faculty members. He then gave me a rather scornful look for no apparent reason, but I just ignored him because I felt I was running late for some class. I noticed whenever I have dreams about school, I'm always running late or missing some assignment to turn in, which is quite contrary to the type of student I was. Anyways, I continued on and entered an entrance to a dimly lit stairwell. As I walked up the stairs, I grasped the strap of my backpack, and at that moment, I looked at my hand and realized that something was amiss. Because, you see, I had already graduated from university 3 years prior to this moment in the dream. So I realized that I was dreaming. So I thought, oh, I'm no longer a student anymore, so I don't really need to study for or attend some class. I was pretty excited and awestruck by this experience. So I quickly threw down my backpack on the floor and proceeded down the stairwell back from the way I came and re-entered the hallway. So when I re-entered the hallway, I saw that the professor, again, only this time he was dressed as a janitor and was holding a mop. I approached him, snatched the mop from his hand, and hit him on the forehead with it. He had a stunned look on his face, then he said, "Thank you," to which I replied, "You're welcome." I thought it was kind of funny, so I went on my merry way. I really didn't know what to do at this point because I'd never been lucid in a dream before. So my first inclination was to explore the building and engage other people in this dream, which are actually dream characters. But in later lucid dreams, I discovered that, well, let's just say that there are other entities that behave differently than dream characters. But I'll get into that topic in future videos. So continuing on, I decided to make the bell ring, at which point the classroom doors opened and out came a massive outpouring of students who flooded the hallway. I took notice of two females and approached them. I told one of them, "You're not going to believe this, but I'm dreaming and you're in it. I don't know how much time I have, so could you be a sport and answer a few questions?" She smiled and said, "Okay." So I asked her, "What's your name?" And then she said, "Nemra." And I was like, "Oh, really? That's my name too." So then I asked her next, "Where are you from?" And she replied, well, actually, she paused for a moment. She had this bewildered look on her face. And then she seemed to fumble for the words, but her response was, "Virginia." And then at that moment, I just woke up. So what I took from this first experience was that the dream characters I was interacting with were essentially from my own thoughts. In other words, I was just talking to myself, and I realized this because in the norm of a speech act, when you introduce yourself to someone, or should I say, when you ask someone what her name is, she will usually say her name and then respond with the same question back to you. So when the dream character, when I had asked her name, the reason why she replied with my name was that I was already prepared to answer her question with my name. Are you following so far? So, and it makes a lot of sense because when I asked her the second question, I really had no idea where she was from. And I kept thinking of various states, and that's why she was fumbling for the words. And the very last state I thought of was Virginia. And then she said Virginia. What I noticed that is in these dreams, these lucid dreams, is there's different levels of lucidity. One level, I guess, would be the basic level, is you can actually just interact with dream characters. They'll talk to you. You probably won't have a clue as to what their answer is going to be or how they'll behave. And when you become more aware, more lucid, which was at the level I was in this dream, pretty much you're just talking to yourself. Your thoughts are being projected in them as though they are your puppets. And then there's that third state where the dream characters become zombie-like, if you know how to clear your mind, and they are no longer responsive. It's like they're at some kind of standstill in time. So, like I said, later on in future videos, I have a few more lucid dreams to discuss, and I'll get into those different states of lucidity with you. So now I'm going to tell you about the technique I use to become lucid in this dream. At that time I had this dream, I didn't know how I got into this state. But time and time again, I realized that every time I was able to become lucid was because of one factor: looking at my hands. As you recall in the dream, I mentioned that when I was walking up a stairwell, I had grasped my backpack strap with my left hand. Well, at that moment when I looked at my hand, that's when I realized I was in a dream state. And this happens in every lucid dream following. So one thing you could do is throughout the day, try to be more aware, live in the moment. What I mean is whenever you grasp a cup, or you grab a pen, or you open the doorknob, or you turn the light switch on or off, pay attention to your hands. Look at your hands as you're doing this. Get into the habit of doing this. Now, I'm not saying for you to, well, if you can actually, go ahead and turn the light switch on and off in your room. Of course, you don't want to do this if you're at work or in a classroom, because people will think you're just totally nuts. But just do this. What this is going to do is it's going to become a habit. And hopefully that this habit will recur in your dream. The reason why I mentioned the light switch technique is in real life, when you turn the light switch on and off, the light will turn on or off. But in a dream state, what I notice is every time I try to turn on a light or turn it off, nothing will happen. So if the lights are off already and I turn them on, nothing will happen. So usually by toggling the light switch over and over, it focuses my attention on my hands. And then I'll get into a lucid state. Before you go to bed at night, you may want to look at your hands for a while and pay attention to the detail. Touch them. Touch every other digit of your hand with your thumb. And maybe you might want to make some kind of like affirmation, such as, while you're looking at your hands, you should say something like, look at your hands, you're dreaming. Look at your hands, you're dreaming. And keep repeating this over and over in your mind, verbally out loud, and then in your mind until you fall asleep. And hopefully, I would say if you keep doing this for a week, you should have some kind of lucid experience. It may take a month, I don't know, but it's worth a try. So good luck to you.